Hi, this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments. Welcome back to my channel. Today we have our very last layout from our Disneyland trip, and this is the last, well, not the last layout from the trip, but the last Galaxy's Edge layout from the trip. And I know that I think I said earlier that we had done our last layout from Galaxy's Edge, but it was a favorite spot for us and for our kids while we were there. And so on the Saturday evening of our trip, my husband and I left the park just briefly for dinner to go and go and meet up with some old friends. And while we were gone, our kids, who are all adults, decided that they wanted to go back the fun drinks that they have in there again. We don't drink alcohol in our family, so they were soda related types of drinks, but they had a good time together, our four, and so they went back on over there. And so this layout focuses on the photos they took during that experience, and it should be a fun one. So let's check out my workspace. We'll get started. All right, so here's my workspace, and this is the right side of the layout that we just did last time we visited our Disneyland album. Today's visit to our Disneyland album is going to, as I mentioned, include our last pages for Galaxy's Edge. I promise this time. I know for sure these are the last ones. And so a reminder, when I do these pages for Galaxy's Edge, I tend to lean towards really earthy kinds of papers, because the scenery there is very earthy, very sandy. The papers I'm going to use are not Disney-fied at all. They're not Christmas type papers either. They're very neutral, very natural kind of papers. I'm going to use two pieces of my custom cutting system today. I'm going to use the largest oval that there is and the smallest circle that we have. And then I'm going to use the red blade and probably the blue blade. I'm also going to use this punch, which is one that was available a while back, and it basically punches out a brick wall, which we'll trim off. It's called Building Bricks. And so this is going to be a portion of the layout today, as well as some different papers. So this is a paper from the stone pack that we had a while back, which we're going to use with our punch. And then these two papers, I believe this one also came from the stone pack, or it may have come from something else. I'm not really remembering for sure, but it looks like red gravel or tiny little rocks. And then this one looks similar, but is a little subdued, as you can tell. The color is not as vibrant. This is not a CM paper. This is from thepaperloft.com, in case you're curious. And so we're going to incorporate both of those together to kind of make our bases. So I'm going to, for now, skip to this point. We're going to go ahead and make our bases, and then we're going to come back to how we're going to proceed with the photos. Okay, so first of all, set the stone paper aside. We're going to work with these kind of sandy papers, and the reason I have these strips is these are 1 inch wide, 1 by 12 white cardstock pieces, and we're going to take these two pieces, the one that looks a little bit like corkboard but is also, I think, supposed to represent sand, and then this one that really looks like a lot of pebbles. We're going to take those two sheets and we're going to cut them straight down the middle. So I'm going to come in here with my trimmer, use my upper shoulder so that I can visualize where the edge of this is and make sure it's in line with my 6-inch marker that I've added to my trimmer. Okay, if you haven't done that already, then just pull the arm out on your trimmer to make sure that you get that right in the middle. Okay, so I'm just cutting that all the way down so that I have two pieces of each of those papers. We're going to weld them together such that the more dull piece is with one of the more vibrant pieces. If you've never welded with me, it's been a while since we've welded, so I flip mine over. This is a process that I learned from Sherry Tilley. She's another Creative Memolries advisor, and so I always like to credit her when I do this, because this is the best way I know to weld two pieces of paper together. And I'm pretty sure I'd still do it the same way that she did when I learned from her initially, but it's been a few years, so I may have modified it a little bit, I'm not sure. But I put my two edges together, then I hold them together, and I put my adhesive, my permanent adhesive, across at an angle. Then I take my strip and put the seam right down the middle of my 1-inch strip, lay that right down on top, and just push it down on top of the adhesive. And if I do it right, you cannot see the seam. Now, obviously there's a seam there because there's a difference in our page, and it's noticeable, right? Because there are two different pieces of paper. But we're going to fix that with a border, so I'm not too worried. So we're going to do the same thing with this one. All right. Now you can see a little bit of my welding material, that cardstock. You can see a little bit of it through that gap. There's a tiny little gap, but I'm not going to stress about that, like I said, because we're going to punch a border that's going to cover a portion of that. So we're going to take our brick punch. It has this lovely marble on the back, which is really, really nice, but we're not going to use that. Instead, we're going to use this side, which is more of like a cement rock kind of edge. And I'm just going to punch and slide until my pattern matches the blue pattern on the wing. And sometimes it's a little tricky with these because you're not sure whether you've slid it enough. So if you get to the point where you can see that it's not punched, then you need to back up just a little. And go just back just a little. See how I've gotten a little too far? So I'm just going to go back until my pattern matches, and then go ahead and punch. Now there are these cute little, I don't know if you can see them, there are these cute little notches that it also punches. Those notches correspond to this notch right here, and that's to help you know when you've gone far enough. I can't always see them, so if you can see them, then that is a good clue for you when you've gone far enough. I'm just going to trim those little notches off so that I can punch another row of my bricks, starting at the notch on the left and all the way to the back shoulder. And go ahead. Let me just take this moment to remind or ask that if you haven't subscribed to my channel, if you could do that for me, that would be great. I am ever so close to actually being able to make some money from my YouTube channel. I just need a few more subscribers. I have to have 1,000 subscribers in order to actually monetize my channel and have YouTube pay me for my efforts for this. I don't know if you're aware of that, but everything up to this point has been just because I wanted to do this for you guys. So it would be really great if I could actually pay for my supplies at least, so that I can keep doing this. That would be great. So if you can help me out by subscribing, that would be lovely, and I would love you to pieces. Okay, so we're going to take our brick that we just punched, and we're going to add this to our pages. I'm going to use my repositionable adhesive so that I don't have to worry about the holes in this border. I'm going to kind of do a diagonal application of my adhesive every couple of inches, and then make sure that I get this end. And then what we're going to do is, can you see how one end of this is darker than the other end? We're going to put the darker edges to the outside of the layout, and we're going to put this, so you've got a solid row on top, and then you've got 2 horizontal rows in the middle, and then 1 on the bottom. The second one from the top, so this is 1, the next one down is 2, the next one down is 3, the bottom one is 4. So number 2, that row we're going to put directly over the seam right there on the middle. So I'm going to just line that up and lay that down so that that paper covers that seam right up. Okay? And I know it blends a lot, but that's what we're working with here, are a lot of things that are going to blend together. Okay, so now I'm going to make sure that this darker edge over here is going to be on the outside of my layout. And I'm going to go ahead and reapply some more adhesive. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing. Row number 2 from the top is going to go right over that seam. Just try to center it the best that you can. And then it should match up with its neighbor right here with our other page. And if it's puckering, like mine is puckering just a little, not really sure why. So I'm just going to lift this up so that I can smooth it out and it will not have that bubble in the middle. All right, there we go. All right. Now, the photos that are going to go on this are, as I said before, of our kids and their adventures in Galaxy's Edge while we were having dinner with some old friends. And what we're going to do is go ahead and wallpaper the page with that, just like so. And then I've got most of these already cut, but I want to create kind of a window effect. So we're going to have these photos a little bit close, and we're going to, as you can see, I have rounded the edges. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second here. First of all, though, I'm just going to sort of get these set so that I know where they're going. Okay, so there's this one, it's going to go here. These two going to go there. And we may actually do those the opposite. All right. So we've got those. Those might go backwards. Anyways, let me grab these two and I'll show you how I have rounded those edges. Okay, so this is a typical 4x6 photo, although I have adjusted it just a little because for some reason when I got these back, the printer had not cut them at exactly 6 inches. They were shy of 6 inches, and then I took another roughly not even 1/8 of an inch off. So what that equates to is that these are 5 7/8 inches wide and 4 inches high, but they're actually a little beyond 4 inches. Can you tell that from looking at my mat? They go just a hair beyond 4 inches. Okay, so I cut this one into a 4x4 square. The ones that are on the top part of the layouts, these are 4x4 squares to start. These are 4x6 minus 1/8 of an inch, so 4 by 5 7/8 is what these start out at. Okay, and what I've been doing is just putting a little repositionable adhesive on the back so that I can stick this down to my mat, and I choose some lines. Doesn't matter which lines, just some lines so that you can know that your photo is not going to move a lot. Okay, I'm using the smallest circle in the custom cutting system and the red blade, and I'm going to center that circle so that it's about 1/8 of an inch from the top and roughly 1/8 of an inch from the sides. Now, because of the different measurements, this photo is slightly wider than 4 inches. So what I'm doing is I'm starting in the middle and I'm cutting towards the side, and when I get halfway I stop and I come back to the middle and I'm cutting towards the outside, and when I get halfway, again stopping. And then I'm coming in here with my scissors. It looks like I didn't quite connect up here on top either, so I'm going to fix that. Then I'm going to just ease that out on the side, because you can see it's just like a 1/16 of an inch too wide on each side. Okay, so there's that photo, that's done. Now we're going to do this one. The longer photos, you use the side edge of a long oval. Again, I'm going to stick this down to my page, and I'm going to try to center this between my posts so you can see that I don't have the right or the left edge along one of the straight lines on my mat. That's okay. What I'm going to do is center this, and this is the tricky part. I want to make sure that you can see this, and hopefully we can zoom in so that you can see this. Okay, so I'm going to keep it 1/8 of an inch from the top edge of my photo, but centering an oval is a little bit trickier than centering a circle. And so the way that I do it to make sure it's level and actually gets a level arch on the side is I'm looking at these two lines, and I'm looking from this line down to make sure that the length of that space is the same on both sides. And if I can make sure that that space looks like it's the same, then my chances of it being level are better. It probably won't be perfect, but it will be better. Okay, so that's how I make sure it's centered. And then once it's centered, literally you can just go from left to right and cut all the way across that arch, and you're done. And it might be a little bit of an optical illusion in this particular photo because of the fact that there already was a little bit of an arch there from the tunnel we had been walking through. But I think it's reasonable. Let's see. That edge is 1 1/8, and this edge is a little beyond 1 1/8. So I was off by just a smidge, but not too bad. Okay, so now we've got all of these with their arches. Now, what I would like to do, and I'm not sure this is going to work, but we're going to try it because I would like to make it work. So I'm going to do my best to make it work. I have another piece of paper here, and this piece of paper is made by the Paper Studio, and it's an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. It just happens to be an 8.5 by 11, which probably ultimately means it's going to be too small for what I want, but we're going to give it a try and see. What I want to do is I want to cut this, and I want to cut this into pieces that are 4.5. So we're going to cut down the short side, and we're going to cut 4.5, and then I want 4 3/8. I know that's awfully specific, but 4 3/8, and then this one is going to be a little bit shy. This one's only 4 3/16. So we'll see if we can make this one work as well. All right, so now what I'm going to do is come in here with the circle, and I'm going to use the blue blade. We're going to cut the shorter side. So the side that is 4 3/8 is the side that we're going to round. And we're going to start on the right over here. So I put my blade into my circle, put the feet into my circle, and then estimate about where it's going to need to be so that I don't lose too much. Okay, so I can feel the blade on my mat, so I can slide it with my feet in the template. I can slide it until my blade has that little bit of resistance and comes in contact with the paper. Okay, and I'm going to start it about 2 inches down from the top, and then just make sure that I have enough space at the top so that I don't run out of room. Okay, so we're just going to round this like so. We're going to do the same thing with this one. And if they're a little short because you don't have enough paper like I am dealing with here, just make sure you have more on the left than you do on the right, and all will be well for what we're going to use it for. I'll show you in a second. Because see, that's the trouble I'm running into with this, is I just don't have enough of this paper to do what I would really like to do. So I'm going to try to make it work. Okay, so I'm going to arch that over just as much as I can. Then I'm going to take my photos, a little bit of repositionable adhesive. I'm going to go about 1/4 inch up from the base. This one is going to be a little bit off because of the fact that it's, maybe what we should do is just not have a base. Well, maybe I'll just, I hate that I have not figured this out ahead of time, but I figured it out as much as I could. I'm trying to make a window and give it a little bit of depth. I think we'll go with that. And you'll be able to see that this one is a little bit easier because we're going to go up about 1/4 inch from the base, have the edge right on the edge over here on the right, so that you get that sort of offset look, like you're looking into a window. Is that giving us the effect that we want? I think so. The problem is I don't have enough of this paper to be able to do the two larger photos on the bottom of each page. So we'll see, maybe I can find another paper that will work. But let's go ahead and I'm going to cut, we're going to cut 2 more. So let's go to 4 1/4. We'll just cut this in half this way. Right? And then we wanted 4 1/2 this way. So 4 1/2. I'm going to need to curve this bit. And I just stacked these two together so that they'll be exactly the same. Okay, so 4 1/4 works, I think. I'm fairly happy with 4 1/4. 4 1/4 by 4 1/2. And then when you mount your photo, it's about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. Those are my goofy fun-loving kids playing with hats. All right. So I'm going to need to look and see if I can find another appropriate paper that I can use to shadow these. So, and for the time being, I'm just going to go ahead and adhere them with, well, there's already repositionable on the back of these. So we'll just put those on here just so that they don't get lost. And if I can find some other, then I will get those adhered. These are going to go fairly close. I'm going to do them 1/4 of an inch from the top of the border and 1/4 of an inch from the center. And then there'll be 1/4 of an inch between them. That way we can, it looks like their windows are right next to each other. And I can add journaling, or I can add embellishments or something up in there. Okay, so I'm just going to adhere this to my page. Do the same thing over here with this one. I'll just temporarily put these guys on. I really don't know if I have any other paper that's a similar color to that brown, unfortunately. But I'll figure it out. I really am excited that we are just about done with Disney. Disney is super fun, but because I've had so many other projects we've been working on while I've been working on Disney, it's taken a while, and I'm ready to be done, to journal and get these albums out for my family to enjoy. All right, so there's that. Now we need some embellishing to go on with this. So let's see what we can put together for that. All right, so I've pulled kind of a variety of embellishments out, and you know, when you're at the end of an album, sometimes it can be a little bit daunting trying to find appropriate things for what you want, you know, to embellish your pages, because you've already used so many that it can sometimes just be tricky, right? So I have a couple that I think are going to be very cute for this page, so we're going to go with this. I have these cute fireworks, which weren't necessarily going on while they were in here, but it's always exciting. Fireworks are always exciting. And this cute little tanker, which actually has a caption at the bottom that says, must hydrate, and Emily, this is my Emily, was always telling us that we needed to hydrate. So, or at least that's what I remember. So anyway, and then I found these cute little musical notes, which are actually part of the new Adventure Parks collection. And at the Cantina, this little guy right here, this little robot, was always playing music and talking to people and doing some fun things. So so that's fun and exciting. We're gonna add the music on there. I also had this one that says Adventures, and we're gonna put that here kind of at the beginning. I'm gonna pop up this one that says Happy Adventures, so that it says we are happy, even though my son looks not happy. This is at the end of 3 days of life in the Magic Kingdom. So you can imagine that he was kind of done. Most of my kids, believe it or not, have a very introverted side to them. And so socializing or being in a social atmosphere such as Disneyland is not easy. It takes a lot out of them. And I understand it takes a lot out of people who are used to socializing. But you have to, I hope, understand that these guys that you're seeing here had 3 days of nonstop, and they were done. So I'm taking this star and I'm cutting it in half. We're going to do half on one page, half on another page, and add a few more stars. So lest you think that I'm crazy for just cutting something up. We're going to add this together. And I'm going to line my pages up so that I can see where to add this guy. Okay, so like that. I think we're gonna add in this firework. Where's my, there it is. This is already a sticker, so I don't have to add adhesive to him. because he's already sticky. I'm just going to kind of put him a little bit underneath, a little bit layered over the top. I'm going to add this one that looks like a humongous asterisk. This one's going to go kind of underneath, a little over the top and a little underneath. Down here. I've got blue stars and an open blue star. We've got these yellow stars, which are good for bringing in the party, right? I could do the other side of these because look, they're so colorful, but I think I'm gonna just leave it at that. And I think that's all I'm gonna do for these pages. Let's look at it and see. And tell me what you think. It's kind of difficult to embellish the Star Wars pages. That's been a big challenge for me throughout this album, is trying to embellish these particular type of pages. But I think I like the way this one came together. Might need another little star. Over here. Kind of right there. Alright, well thanks so much for joining me for this, and I hope that this has been giving you some ideas for different ways that you can create some neat thematic pages for your albums. If you have a comment, I would love to hear it, and I will respond. I try really hard to do that. Until next time, I hope you have many more creative moments. Have a great day now.